This week we're going to highlight the price changes associated with the March 31st USDA prospective plantings and grain stocks reports. Then we're going to focus on Brazil, where they finished planting safrinha corn. We're going to focus on the weather trends there. We're going to come back and look at export trends here in the U.S. and wrap things up with a long-term review of December corn futures. Hi, this is Brian Bastine with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the corn market. We've moved in the middle of March here, and there's a lot going on in these markets. This week, however, we're going to start by looking forward to March 31st. On March 31st, the USDA will release two key reports: prospective plantings and grain stocks. Let's take a look at the history of price changes associated with those reports. Again, these reports will be coming out on Tuesday, March 31st. What this slide shows is the change in May corn futures and December corn futures on the day that those reports were released. Now, some years there hasn't been much change. Last year there wasn't much change seen. However, notice many years there we've seen quite a bit of price change associated with the release of these reports. That's why it's critical that you plan closely with your trusted risk management advisor to have your marketing strategies in place prior to the release of these reports on Tuesday, March 31st. Now, as we look at the middle of March here, we're still a few weeks away from corn planting here in the Midwest. However, the focus is on corn production in Brazil. That's the double crop corn that's planted after the soybean harvest. Let's take a look at where that corn is produced in Brazil. Again, this is the second season corn production in Brazil. The lion's share of that, about 50%, is produced in Mato Grosso, in that far north area. Moving south, other key states to monitor include Goiás, Mato Grosso do Sul, and Paraná in the south. Let's take a look at planting progress now. Now, planting is pretty well complete. Crop was planted a little bit later this year due to some wet conditions, but it's pretty well complete in north to south. Notice Paraná in the south is still at about 74% planted, so they're still planting corn, but they'll be wrapping up very soon. We want to switch gears now and focus on rainfall patterns in Brazil. Now, why is it important to focus on rainfall patterns? Because in Brazil, we see a wet season, which is what we're in now, highlighted by that light blue bar. But then we approach the dry season. Dry season usually starts in May. Notice that sharp drop-off in rainfall as we move into April and May. Here's a key message we want to highlight. On average, the last 5 years, about half the crop is pollinating by April 20th. So these next 30 to 45 days will be very important to watch rainfall patterns in Brazil. Speaking of weather, let's take a look at the short-term trends. Our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-Storm Weather. Starting out here, looking at the next 7 to 10 days. Notice it's going to remain wet across the north there. Again, that area is planted, so the equivalent would be probably early April, mid-April, I should say, into late May, mid-May here in the U.S. Let's take a look now at southern Brazil. Southern Brazil, though, is a little bit drier. Now, it's about 70%, 30%. In the north, 70% is wet. In the south, those two key states, Mato Grosso do Sul and Paraná, are dry. What about the next 14 days? You can see the next 14 days, again, those highlighted states in the light blue are forecast to be dry. Something we'll monitor for you moving forward. Let's shift gears now and look at export trends here in the U.S. Our exports continue to be very strong this year, 39% higher than last year. However, we want to continue to highlight that despite the record pace of exports, the record U.S. crop is offsetting that news. ATI is forecasting U.S. carryout to increase by 50% this year. Let's wrap things up this week looking at trends in December corn. December corn saw a nice rebound here into the early March, over 490 a bushel briefly as we tape here on Tuesday. It's backed off a bit to 480. Notice from now until that October harvest crop insurance price, the potential for increased price volatility. That's why we strongly encourage you to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor to manage price movement and avoid price prediction. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 309-664-2300. We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants who'll be happy to visit with you at your convenience. Remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss an update. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.